Hey everyone, it's Jordy from Seven Eagle Group, and I am here with Tom Szwak, one of our top talent acquisition managers on the team here. Tom was gracious enough to spend some time with me today, providing some tips to help veterans looking for jobs. Tom has been with Seven Eagle only about 3 or 4 months now, but somebody who has just been exposed to, I don't know if thousands is the right word, but, hundreds of veterans applying for positions that he's trying to fill with our clients. Probably is thousands of applicants over the 3 months. So just a ton of experience that he has in this short amount of time at evaluating candidates. And he's going to share with us today some of his favorite tips and suggestions for you guys looking for work. Tom comes from a long and distinguished career, over 40 years. I think the majority of those, Tom, have been in the entertainment industry, not only as a job seeker, but also in senior level positions where he's interviewing candidates. So you're going to hear from somebody who's coming at this from both sides with very unique and really valuable opinions.
In the business world, the phrase due diligence is usually reserved for mergers and acquisitions. And essentially what that means is before you're going to purchase or invest into a company, you're going to do your due diligence and find out everything you can about that potential sale and that company you're buying. It's really no different in the world of human resources. You're selling yourself to the company, and the company is buying you for future services. And to that point, you should always do as much research, advanced research, as you possibly can on the company before you get to an interview stage. There are so many different avenues that you can use. Of course, the big one is Google. And I would urge you not just to go to the first page of Google. A lot of people, I think the statistics are that 80–90% of people stop after that first page. Go to the second page, go to the third, see if there is anything that you might have missed. Of course, other resources like social media, Twitter, Facebook. Many companies have Instagram accounts. The more you can learn about your company's standing, not only in its own industry, but how they portray themselves to the public, the better off you'll be. And then, of course, the big one is LinkedIn. Being able to not only research the company that can tell you what open jobs they have, they give you the history of how long it's been around. And every one of those profiles, of course, for the company is different as each individual's. But you'll be amazed at the amount of information that you can get just from that company site on LinkedIn. And then, of course, there is the link to their own website. And when you go to their website, you want to check out things like career, their mission statement, their values. Again, arm yourself with as much data and research and information as you possibly can.
Now, you've done that research. How do you use that in the interview? You don't want to do all this research, show up to the interview, and then not bring it up. You got to let them know you put in this extra work and time.
Sure. And Jordy, that's a great point, because I think there's a fine line between not coming off too smarmy or
Right.
too smart for your own good and wanting to show that you know enough about the company. And I'll give you an example. If the interviewer is just mentioning to the candidate that we just opened up a new division, it's not inappropriate for you to say, yes, I saw that you just opened up a new plant in Lansing, Michigan, or I see that you brought in a senior executive from Google. It shows the interview that you know about that, you're not in the dark, you're not clueless, but also that's an appropriate, I think, next line of conversation. You don't want to come into the phone interview or the in-person interview and just start rattling off statistics like, look how much I know about you. So it really is a fine line between the two.
Right. And I know you do an incredible job of this. Like when you send emails to, say, a prospective client, you'll say, wow, this guy is from Camden, New Jersey. He must be a Philadelphia Eagles fan. I got that in common. Let me drop that in there somewhere. And it shows another level of interest that, in my experience, Very few people do. You know, they'll show up in an interview and they'll say, oh, I was hoping you could tell me a little bit about your company here and what you guys do and all. And it's to me, it's a sign of like, you know, it's such an insult if you're interviewing that person.
It is.
Come on.
It is. And Jordy, you know, we've lost a candidate or two who got to that stage and the interviewer said, well, do you have any questions for me? And the only question that he asked was about his benefits, which is a cardinal sin that you don't do in the interview process.
Right.
But more importantly, he had no questions for the interviewer about the company, and they took that as a lack of interest.
Right.
So it really does make a difference.
And if you do that research Tom mentioned beforehand, put in 2, 3, 4, 5 hours getting ready for that interview, you're going to have a ton of questions, and bring them in. They'll be very impressed by how much care you put into those specific questions.
And again, LinkedIn is a tremendous resource because not only can you find out so much about the company, but also about the individuals in the company, the executive team, where they came from, where did they go to school? To Jordy's point, maybe there's a personalization. They came from the area in which you grew up, or they went to a school where maybe a relative went to. So it's nice to have that personal personal information that you could use. But again, it's just what you know about it going in. And as Jordy mentioned, they will definitely respect and appreciate the fact that you took the time to do that.
Absolutely. And one more piece of useful research I always find is Glassdoor. You know, you can go on there, especially for bigger companies, and see what other employees are saying about that company. Some of it's going to be people griping, so you got to take that with a grain of salt, but there's going to be some positive stuff that you can learn from reading how other people who work there, what they have to say. So great information about research. Thank you, Tom.